right, everyone, welcome back. Yesterday we read, and congratulations to all our winners the first and the second time. Yesterday we read The Gift of the Magi, and we're going to talk a little bit more about irony. Basically, there are three types of irony: verbal, dramatic, and situational. Verbal irony, the character says one thing but means the opposite. Dramatic irony, when the reader understands more about the events of a story than the character. Situational irony, which is the type of irony that we see in The Gift of the Magi, when we have a twist ending or when what actually happens is the opposite of what is expected. Their motto, where the news hits home. Let me talk. In this example, where the news hits home, you see that the Republican truck has actually hit the house, and that is a form of irony. So, again, take a moment and look at your screen to see the three types of irony. All right, now you're going to type in the chat, what is this an example of? Is this situational, dramatic, or verbal irony? And you're going to type your answer in the chat. Thank you, Aaliyah. Thank you, Summer. Thank you, Edgar. Any more responses? The answer is situational. This is an example of situational irony. All right, look at this example. You're watching a horror movie. You know that the boogeyman is there, but the character does not know and unknowingly opens the door. What type of irony is this? Someone said dramatic. It will be dramatic irony. Very good. Aaliyah, Edgar, Savannah, Shania, and Summer. Okay, you walk outside into the pouring rain, and your friend makes a comment. What lovely weather we're having today. Okay, someone said verbal. Yes, you're absolutely correct. All right, get a brain, morons. What type of irony is presented in this picture? Yes, it would be situational for this one. He's calling them stupid. He's calling them morons, but he spelled the word wrong, incorrectly. A police station gets robbed. What type of irony is this? Very good. It'll be situational. This is the school of driving. What type of irony is this? It will be situational. Okay, your date shows up in ripped jeans and a stained t-shirt. And you say, "Oh, I see you dressed up for the occasion." What type of irony is this? And I keep seeing the same people in the chat. I should be getting about 17 responses. Yes, if you said verbal, you are correct. Okay, when watching a TV show, the audience knows why a person has been brought on the show. However, the person in the chair does not know that they are going to be reunited with a long lost friend. What type of irony is this? Okay, someone said dramatic. It will be dramatic. What type of irony is in this picture? All right, someone said verbal. If it's unexpected by the character, it's dramatic. If unexpected by everyone, it's situational. And if it's sarcasm, it's verbal. Good job, everybody. So I think we completed all of this. I did revise this, and so let me share it and change some of the dates. So every time that you're logged into my class and on your virtual learning days, and if you finish your work early, you will work with your Burl Ringer activity, whether it's Quill, Epic, or News Ella. Um, and then it shows our other activities for today. So I just wanted to note that. Oh, let me show this as well. And I also put a list of what's due. So you will see these assignments in your Google Classroom. And then with Quill, I put what's due for the rest of the year. And it's not showing in here. And you're going to be focusing on subject verb agreement and confused words, words that people get confused. Now take a moment. If you type in the website www.getepic.com/students, and you should put in the code I as in ice cream, S is in Sam, 1171, and then find your name, and that should log you in. And I put the code and the website in the chat. So I'm gonna give you a few moments to log in on your laptop. Any questions about Epic? And you have been assigned 4 books. And if you look here in the assignment, make sure you click on classwork so you can see the folders. You have Epic book here, Epic book here, and one here. They're posed as questions where you have to read the book. And I also put the links here too. You have to read the book and answer the question for a grade. Your quill assignment, you should have gotten that in an email or announcement today. And you're going to be working on subject verb agreement and commonly confused words. And that's taking us all the way to June. Any questions so far? Okay. You should be able to log in with News Ella through Clever, but I have not been able to do it myself. So I have posted all 3 of the articles here. And I also put the link. So don't wait till the last minute to get this turned in. If for some reason you cannot type in the document, just type your name, put your class period, and the name of the assignment, and turn it in that way. Did we do Ed Puzzle yesterday? Because this is actually due today, but I think when I looked, only a few people have turned it in. So let me ask a few questions. We've been talking about the gift of the Magi. In the chat, tell me, what is wisdom? And what type of connections can you make with the gift of the Magi and your own personal life? The gift of the Magi is a story about self sacrifice and unselfishness. And sometimes with middle aged young people, this is alien because that's not really what they do. I want you to think about the things that matter to you the most. What are your five top priorities in life? Would you say this is a physical possession or a more abstract possession? Please type your answer in the chat. Okay, someone said abstract. Tell me, what are your five top priorities? If I had to say my five top priorities, I would say my faith, I would say my family, I would say education, mm, I would say community outreach, and then my personal projects, whether I'm publishing an article, publishing a book, writing a song, whatever I'm doing, those would be my five top priorities. What are your five top priorities? And what type of things do you value? And do you value possessions or do you value people more? I would say my friends are a priority as well. And we know that the three wise men brought gifts to Christ: myrrh, frankincense, and gold. Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. Thank you, Tanisha. Thank you, Edgar, for sharing your five priorities. Thank you, Joseph. Oh, yes, Joseph, I like nice things too. So we know the setting of this story is in New York in a shabby apartment during the Christmas season. We have two main characters, Della and James. He loves his gold watch. He sells his gold watch to buy a gift for Della, and she sells her hair to buy a Christmas gift for her husband. And I want to know your opinion. When can you give too much? And do you think that Della or Jim gave too much or sacrificed too much? What do you think? And there is a lot of conflict in this story. We have internal conflict with Jim and Della struggling with the decision to sacrifice the things that mean the most to them. Okay, Edgar says he doesn't think they gave too much. Okay. And then they have external conflict with their financial struggles. In your opinion, oh, yes, people can take advantage of you, Aaliyah. So you have to be very careful who you include in your circle. And in your opinion, what does the hair and the watch symbolize in the story? It symbolizes the love that they have for each other, that they're willing to sacrifice their most prized possessions for each other. And of course, we said that this was situational irony. Okay. And you shouldn't let people run over you and demand, because sometimes people can keep asking and asking and they'll take until it's all gone. So, what do you think is the theme of this story? One may say what matters is that they have each other. Their love is the greatest gift of all. Is that the thing? What do you think is the thing or the message from the author? Okay, someone said it symbolizes love because they would give anything to show how much they care for each other. Thank you, Leah. In the story, what does the number three symbolize? Okay, in the story, the number three, remember, in the story, Della counts her money three times. The narrator said that life is made up of snobs, sniffles, and smile. Three things. And do you agree with the author, the narrator? Do you think that life is composed of sobs, sniffles, and smiles? Sometimes you cry, and sometimes you're happy. Okay, thank you, Leah. Gifts can't buy love, but it shows appreciation. And then that leads me to the next question. Can you love without giving? And can you give without loving? What do you think? Okay, the story also refers three times to the Young's super entree, the chops. The story mentions the Queen of Sheba, who gave three types of gift to the King of Solomon: spices, gold, and jewels. In paragraph, one of the paragraphs, it says she stood by the window and looked out at a gray cat walking a gray fence in a gray backyard. And then Jim tells Della, I don't think there's anything in the way of a haircut or a shave or a shampoo that can make me like my girl any less. So you notice that the author mentions many things in the story in groups of three. What do you think is the purpose of that? What do you think? Okay, someone say you can love someone without giving. Thank you, Aaliyah. Make sure, and also they were in. The Holy Scriptures, there were three Magi who came to see Jesus, and they had three gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And according to tradition, the Magi were the kings of Arabia, Persia, India. And then there were three valuable things in the story: Jim's gold watch, Della's hair, and their love. Now, this is something else for you to think about. How important do you think hair is in our culture today? She cried when she had to cut her hair. And do you think that certain types of gifts are important in our culture today? Yes, hair does show your character and personality. You can get it blonde, you can get green hair, blue hair, orange hair, short, long, braids, dreadlocks, twist, straight hair, any kind afro, any kind of hair you want. Yes, it is very important. Even for our men. And a lot of times if people don't have hair, they'll buy a toupee or a wig, or they'll get hair sewn in. What type of gifts do we value in our culture? Christmas is a very important tradition in our culture as well. Can you have a good Christmas without gifts? Or do you think we should give gifts all throughout the year? Should it be centered around a holiday? Or do you think people spend too much money on gifts? What do you think? Hey.
If you need anything out of the textbook, let me know. That just put in an order.
From He sent me an email about, but I didn't see how to open it. That online textbook seminar, whatever it's called.
Yeah, that thing ain't working. It ain't
Oh, it's
working.
not working.
So let me know what you need out of here, and I
Okay,
can make
yeah.
the PDF.
Oh, I already know.
You work on that list. I'll be right back because I have
Okay.
a little emergency area.
Oh, yes, take care of the emergency because I think I got my list right here. Okay. Okay, I'm so sorry, students. What is one of the greatest gifts you have ever received? If you'd like to share. Okay, Edgar says, I think we can have Christmas without gifts. Someone else said, not at all throughout the year, but every once in a while. Okay. Yeah, you can have a good Christmas without gifts. And I tell you, this COVID-19 has made us appreciate a whole lot of things. If you didn't appreciate it, you most certainly will appreciate it now. Like water and Lysol and wipes and fresh air. All those things. Some things are more precious than gold or money. Okay, I feel like gifts show that you're thinking of the person, but you can still have a good Christmas without gifts. So, what is one of the greatest gifts you've ever received? My dad got me a car, a Pontiac Bonneville, and having had it in the backyard. And I would agree with you too, Savannah, having a family and love. What is the greatest gift that you have ever given? For me, it'd be a large sum of money. What is the greatest gift you've ever given and the greatest gift you've ever received? I agree with you too, Gage. Love. Yes, yes, love and being helpful, Savannah. And then I want you to tell me three things that you would do for someone you love. This is Charles Xavion, Triana, Davion, Victor. Okay, I don't need this bag.
Alrighty, so these.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think anything, is there anything else important off that list? Because I think that's what Mr. Beck told me. And so I'm guessing. Okay, they said they gave my granny one of your football jerseys because she could make it to watch this. Okay, that was nice, Gage.
I'll see about that.
And you don't have to do all of them. I guess, whatever, wherever you need to stop.
I know I already have a copy of this that I can
Okay.
send you. That should be in my online library that I'm
The
invited
bubble
into.
up. Okay. I was looking at two.
And I got To Kill a Mockingbird. That's also in my online library.
Mhm.
But yeah, I can do the rest. You want the Odyssey out of the book, or do you want the whole thing?
Oh, that would be too long. I guess I would do it.
Okay.
Or whatever portion you give me. I just have to,
Okay.
I
Now
have to take it and run.
I think what we have in the book here is, you get the Cyclops. I'm thinking the Lotus Eaters might be in there, and something else. And then the second part is when he comes home with the spear.
Okay.
That needs no further explanation.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I'll do what they got in the textbook of the Odyssey.
Okay.
The Pearl, I'll download it and email it to you directly, but I'm pretty sure I have that in my online library. I just gotta look for it.
Okay.
And I know I got TCAM in the online library.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Now I have another question. Okay, Aaliyah says, help through hard times with money trouble, give helpful advice about things, showing concern about things in life. Now, this is my next question. Do you think we are selfish? What do you think? What's your opinion? Are we selfish? Of course, you cannot say everybody because you can never put everybody in a category. But do you think we are selfish? Okay, somebody said sometimes. Okay, Aaliyah, Lauren, and Joshua say sometimes. Okay, half and half. Some people are and others are not. Why do you think we're selfish? Do you think it's just our culture? So if you have not completed what we're going to do now is complete this Ed puzzle video. Yeah, it's just how we are. But let's see, because we don't show concern or care, but sometimes we spread hate and violence. And unfortunately, that's true. Some of us don't like to share. That's true too. And I think sometimes the people are too extravagant. Like, why do you have 15 cars? Okay, I think a lot of Americans are selfish because some of us grew up having things handed to us. I agree, Gage. Sometimes because at one point some people need things that we got, but we might have enough to spare, and other times we don't have enough for ourselves, so we keep it. Yes, Savannah. Oh, yes, Lauren, we do take things for granted that others don't have. I totally agree. So we're going to go do the Ed puzzle for those who haven't completed it.
The Gift of the Magi by O. Henry. $1.87. That was all. And 60 cents of it was in pennies. Pennies saved 1 and 2 at a time by bulldozing the grocer and the vegetable man and the butcher until one's cheeks burned with the silent imputation of parsimony that such close dealing implied. 3 times Della counted it. $1.87. And the next day would be Christmas. There was clearly nothing to do but flop down on the shabby little couch and howl. So Della did it, which instigates the moral reflection that life is made up of sobs, sniffles, and smiles, with sniffles predominating.
So if you go to Google Classroom and click on the folder for assignments and scroll down to the bottom, you should see the Ed puzzle for the Gift of the Magi.
When the mistress of the home is gradually subsiding from the first stage to the second, take a look at the home. A furnished flat at $8 per week. It did not exactly beg her description, but it certainly had that word on the lookout for the Duncansy squad. In the vestibule below was a letter box into which no letter would go, and an electric button from which no mortal finger could coax a ring. Also appertaining thereunto was a card bearing the name Mr. James Dillingham Young. The Dillingham had been flung to the breeze during a former period of prosperity when its possessor was being paid $30 per week. Now, when income was shrunk to $20, though, they were thinking seriously of contracting to a modest and unassuming D. Whenever Mr. James Dillingham Young came home and reached his flat above, he was called Jim and greatly hugged by Mrs. James Dillingham Young, already introduced to you as Della, which is all very good. Della finished her cry and attended to her cheeks with the powder rag. She stood by the window and looked out dully at a gray cat walking a gray fence in a gray backyard. Tomorrow would be Christmas Day, and she only had $1.87 with which to buy Jim a present. She'd been saving every penny she could for months with this result. $20 a week doesn't go far. Expenses had been greater than she had calculated. They always are. Only $1.87 to buy a present for Jim. Her Jim. Many a happy hour she'd spent planning for something nice for him, something fine and rare and sterling, something just a little bit near worthy, near to being worthy of the honor of being owned by Jim. There was a pier glass between the windows of the room. Perhaps you've seen a pier glass in an $8 flat. A very thin and very agile person may, by observing his reflection in a rapid sequence of longitudinal strips, obtain a fairly accurate conception of his looks. Della, being slender, had mastered the art. Suddenly she whirled from the window and stood before the glass. Her eyes were shining brilliantly, but her face had lost its color within 20 seconds. Rapidly she pulled down her hair and let it fall to its full length. Now there were 2 possessions of the James Dillingham Youngs in which they both took a mighty pride. One was Jim's gold watch that had been his father's and his grandfather's. The other was Della's hair. Had the Queen of Sheba lived in the flat across the air shaft, Della would have let her hair hang out the window some day to dry, just to deprecate Her Majesty's jewels and gifts. Had King Solomon been the janitor, with all of his treasures piled up in the basement, Jim would have pulled out his watch every time he passed just to see him pluck at his beard from envy. So now Della's beautiful hair fell about her, rippling and shining like a cascade of brown waters. It reached below her knee and made itself almost a garment for her. And then she did it up again nervously and quickly. Once she faltered for a minute and stood still while a tear or two splashed on the worn red carpet. On went her old brown jacket, on went her old brown hat. With a whirl of skirts and with the brilliant sparkle still in her eyes, she fluttered out the door and down the stairs to the street. Where she stopped, the sign read, Madame Sonofreni, hair goods of all kinds. One flight up Della ran and collected herself panting. Madame, large, too white, chilly, hardly looking the Sonofreni. Will you buy my hair? Asked Della. I buy hair, said Madame. Take your hat off and let's have a sight of the looks of it. Down rippled the brown cascade. $20, said Madame, lifting the mass with a practiced hand. Give it to me quick, said Della. Oh, and the next 2 hours tripped by on rosy wings. Forget the hash metaphor. She was ransacking the stores for Jim's present. She found it at last. It surely had been made for Jim and no one else. There was no other like it in any of the stores, and she had turned all of them inside out. It was a platinum fob chain, simple, chaste in design, properly proclaiming its value by substance alone and not by meretricious ornamentation, as all good things should do. It was even worthy of the watch. As soon as she saw it, she knew that it must be Jim's. It was like him. Quietness and value. The description applied to both. $21 they took from her for it, and she hurried home with the 87 cents. With that chain on his watch, Jim might be properly anxious about the time in any company. Grand as the watch was, he sometimes looked at it on the sly on account of an old leather strap that he used in place of a chain. When Della reached home, her intoxication gave way a little to prudence and reason. She got out her curling irons and lighted the gas and went to work repairing the ravages made by generosity added to love, which is always a tremendous task, dear friends, a mammoth task. Within 40 minutes, her head was covered with tiny, close-lying curls that made her look wonderfully like a truant schoolboy. She looked at her reflection in the mirror, long, carefully, and critically. If Jim doesn't like me, she said to herself, before he takes a second look at me, he'll say I look like a Coney Island chorus girl. But what could I do? What could I do with $1.87? At 7 o'clock, the coffee was made and the frying pan was on the back of the stove, hot and ready to cook the chops. Jim was never late. Della doubled the fob chain in her hand and sat on the corner of the table near the door that he always entered. Then she heard his step on the stair way down on the first flight, and she turned white for just a moment. She had a habit of saying a little silent prayer about the simplest everyday things, and now she whispered, Please, God, make him think I am still pretty. The door opened, and Jim stepped in and closed it. He looked thin and very serious. Poor fellow, he was only 22, and to be burdened with a family. He needed a new overcoat, and he was without gloves. Jim stopped inside the door, as immovable as a setter at the scent of quail. His eyes were fixed upon Della, and there was an expression in them that she could not read, and it terrified her. It was not anger, nor surprise, nor disapproval, nor horror, nor any of the sentiments that she had been prepared for. He simply stared at her fixedly with that peculiar expression on his face. Della wriggled off the table and went for him. Jim, darling, she cried, don't look at me that way. I had my hair cut off and sold because I couldn't have lived through Christmas without giving you a present. Don't grow out again. You won't mind, will you? I just had to do it. My hair grows awfully fast. Say Merry Christmas, Jim, and let's be happy. You don't know what a beautiful, nice gift I got for you. You've cut off your hair? Asked Jim laboriously, as if he had not arrived at that patent fact yet, even after the hardest mental labor. Cut it off and sold it, said Della. Don't you like me just as well anyhow? I'm me without my hair, ain't I? Jim looked around the room curiously. You say your hair is gone, he said, with an air of almost idiocy. You needn't look for it, said Della. It's sold, I tell you, sold and gone. It's Christmas Eve, boy. Be good to me, for it went for you. Maybe the hairs of my head were numbered," she went on with sudden, serious sweetness, "but nobody could ever count my love for you. Shall I put on the chops, Jim?" Out of his trance, Jim seemed quickly to wake. He enfolded his Della. For 10 seconds, let us regard with discreet scrutiny some inconsequential object in the other direction. $8 a week or $1 million a year. What's the difference? A mathematician or a wit would give you the wrong answer. The Magi brought valuable gifts, but that was not among them. This dark assertion will be illuminated later on. Jim drew a package from his overcoat pocket and threw it upon the table. "Don't make any mistake, Dell," he said, "about me. I don't think there's anything in the way of a haircut or a shave or a shampoo that could make me like my girl any less. But if you'll unwrap that package, you may see why you had me going a while at first." White fingers and nibble toward the string and paper, and then an ecstatic scream of joy, and then, alas, a quick feminine change to hysterical tears and wails, necessitating the immediate employment of all the comforting powers of the lord of the flat. For there lay the combs, the set of combs side and back that Della had worshipped long in a Broadway window. Beautiful combs, pure tortoiseshell, with jeweled rims, just the shade to wear in the beautiful vanished hair. They were expensive combs, she knew, and her heart had simply craved and yearned over them without the least hope of possession. And now they were hers, but the tresses that should have adorned the coveted ornaments were gone. But she hugged them to her bosom, and at length she was able to look up with dim eyes and smile and say, "My hair grows so fast, Jim." And then Della leapt up like a little singed cat and cried, "Oh, oh!" Jim had not yet seen his beautiful present. She held it out to him eagerly upon her open palm. The dull, precious metal seemed to flash with a reflection of her bright and ardent spirit. "Isn't it dandy, Jim? I hunted all over town to find it. You'll have to look at the time 100 times a day now. Give me your watch. I want to see how it looks on it." Instead of obeying, Jim tumbled down on the couch and put his hands under the back of his head and smiled. "Dell," said he, "let's put our Christmas presents away and keep them a while. They're too nice to use just at present. I sold the watch to get the money to buy your combs. And now suppose you put the chops on." The Magi, as you know, were wise men, wonderfully wise men, who brought gifts to a babe in the manger. They invented the art of giving Christmas presents. Being wise, their gifts were no doubt wise ones, possibly bearing the privilege of exchange in case of duplication. And here I have lamely related to you the uneventful chronicle of two foolish children in a flat, who most unwisely sacrificed for each other the greatest treasures of their house. But in a last word to the wise of these days, let it be said that of all who give gifts, these two were the wisest. Of all who give and receive gifts, such as they are the wisest. Everywhere they are the wisest. They are the Magi.
Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is inference. So in the chat, I have 3 questions. What inference can best be made about Della from this description, the gift of the Magi? What inferences can you make about Jim and Della based on their actions? And what inferences do you think O. Henry intended readers to make about the characters Jim and Della?
You wrote a story? I looked around the packed theater. My knees were shaking and my heart was pounding in my chest. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes. I pretended I was alone and played my violin. Great job, Moby. I really understood how nervous you were. even though you didn't say you were nervous. I made an inference. What is an inference? When you infer, you use clues and what you already know to come up with an idea. I've heard that sound before. It's thunder. Everyone's wearing rain boots and jackets and holding umbrellas, so I can make an inference that it's raining. I don't really know for sure that it's raining because I'm not outside, but the thunder and the rain gear are clues, so I can be pretty sure it is raining. How can I make inferences when I read fiction? Let's see. In this book, the tortoise and the hare have a race. The hare makes fun of the tortoise and says she's really slow. Instead of preparing for the race like the tortoise, the hare just talks about how great he is. During the race, the hare is so sure he'll win, he thinks he has time for a nap. And the tortoise wins the race. The way characters act can tell you about how they think or feel. The hare makes fun of the tortoise, brags a lot, and then falls asleep during the race. These clues tell me that the hare is kind of stuck up and thinks he'll win the race. The tortoise gets ready for the race, ignores the hare, and goes as fast as she can. These clues tell me that the tortoise is really determined. Authors use clues and details so they don't have to write everything in exact words, and figuring out how the characters feel can be exciting. But I can make inferences in all kinds of writing, not just fiction. How can I infer when I read nonfiction? Cool, here's a book about sea turtles. Leatherback sea turtles lay their eggs on land. One leatherback can lay over 100 eggs. I wonder why sea turtles lay so many eggs. You can use what you already know to make inferences. I know that seagulls like to eat baby sea turtles. And I know that the ocean has other hungry predators. I can infer that sea turtles lay a lot of eggs because most of them will not survive. You can also use what you observe to make inferences. Ew, I bet all that trash doesn't help the sea turtles. Maybe that's one reason why they're endangered. I guess making inferences is like being a detective. You look for clues and put them together with what you already know to come up with an idea. I guess I can infer that it's time for lunch. Hey, wait for me.
So thank you for those who responded to the questions in the chat. Thank you, Joshua. So now we're going to do another activity because I did not do it yesterday on the first day. So now I'm going to do it now. So you can learn some things about me. You are going to type the lie in the chat. Truth or lie? Okay, I live in Georgia. I have 3 sisters. My parents are in their 70s. I graduated from Ohio State. What is the lie? Thank you, Savannah. Della would do anything to get Jim what he deserves to show that he loves him. Yes, thank you for all the students who are responding. So, what is the lie? I see 2 answers, 3. Yes, it would be that I live in Georgia. That is the lie. Okay, what is the lie? I'm a cook. I'm a national board teacher. I'm the eldest. I have a dog. Somebody said I can't cook. Oh, somebody said I'm the oldest, number 4. Oh, guys, 2 people have it correct. The lie is no, I do not have a dog. I'm afraid of dogs. And actually, these shows pictures of different things that I've cooked. I do like to cook. Yeah, those are pictures of food I cook. Let's see here. All right, true or false? What is the lie? I play in many professional trainings with teachers. I like doing STEM. I like cats. I've taught elementary, middle, high school, and college. What is the lie? That's right. The lie is I like it. No, I do not like cats. I respect animals, but I'm afraid of them too. I'm afraid of cats, rats, bugs, roaches. One thing I can say about Crestwood, I haven't seen one bug, and that's different from other schools I've worked in South Carolina. And that's a good thing. And yes, I've taught almost every grade level. I've taught everything except for high school math and high school science. I don't have a certification in that. Okay, so what is the lie? I've published books, I published articles, I can fly a plane. I have taught for over 20 years. What is the lie? Yeah, that was easy. No, I cannot fly a plane. I do not like even flying in a plane. Okay, very good. Okay, this is my great grandmother on my mom's side. I like arts and crafts. I took music lessons. I went to Hawaii and Canada. I can swim. What is the lie? No, I can't swim. Matter of fact, I almost drowned. And see, that's what I get for being hard headed when I was 12 years old. My aunt told me, don't jump in the pool. I jumped in the pool anyway. Absolutely, I should have done it. But anyway, okay, this is me when I was a baby. My great grandfather on my dad's side. And this is a picture of a page out of my book. So that's a little bit about me. Let's see. So we have a few more minutes for the end of class. So I'm gonna give you a choice. Either work on Quill, you should have got a link in the announcement, or you can work on one of your books in Epic. And let me see, I'll show you where they are. And then you have a question for each one of those books. And they're up here in assignments. Which award did Henry Gates, the book Itch, and Martin Luther King Jr.? So you have about 15 minutes, I would say. Am I right? Are there any other questions? So you can work on Quill, or you can work on Muse, Ella, or your Epic assignment. Oops, I didn't mean to put that. I meant to put a period. Oh, and I have asthma. I know people get nervous when people see people coughing. Let me see.